Hi, good afternoon. So today is June 4th, 2025, and it's 1 p.m. Central Time, and I'm located in Katy, Texas 77494. So this video is part of the Rapid Fire Tips video series, and today I would like to talk about two incidents that I think are well, I don't think, like, I can see through technology that they're tied together, they're co-clustered. One incident I call the YubiKey incident, and the other incident I call the Micro Center visit of June 2nd. So let's start with the YubiKey incident. Okay, what happened was I was carrying with me an USB card reader that had an SD card inside of it, and also a YubiKey. A YubiKey is a hardware device. For those who don't know, it's a hardware device. It's like this big, that you connect through a USB port in your computer, and it serves as a physical method of two-factor authentication. So basically, the idea is that when you log into your account on, I don't know, it could be Gmail or Google Cloud or Microsoft or like whatever, right? After you enter your password, you have to physically press a button in this physical device to verify that it's you. So the fact that you have the device serves to authenticate that, you know, it is really you entering the password. It's not somebody that stole your password. So this YubiKey was important because it was tied to many of the accounts that I use to develop and maintain spyhell.org. You know, if that YubiKey is stolen, somebody could just delete the website. For example, they could log into Google Cloud and delete the entire website. And I, of course, because you know, I've learned through the years of dealing with them and, you know, defending against their attacks, I learned that you know, these things could happen, right? They could steal something that is critical or gain access somehow and delete things, right? They've done this before many times. So because of that, I took the precaution of creating mirror sites, many of them, months ago. And I have them deployed. They're just not visible to the outside, but they're deployed. And the reason I did that was twofold, right? One was to protect against something like this, and the second is to protect against censorship. I haven't mentioned this on this channel, but I was born in Venezuela. That was the country where I was born in. And when I was back home, you know, censorship was always an issue. Like if there was somebody critical of the government or something, you know, what the government would do is, through the telecom companies that are controlled by the government, they would shut down the websites, right? Like they would block them basically through firewalls in the telecom companies. So in response to that, what I saw that newspapers and other prominent media did, they created mirror sites, right? So basically, imagine that, I don't know, CNN.com. Imagine that for some reason it gets blocked in a country, right? So what they could do is, you know, create small variations, like different domains, like, you know, CNN1.com or CNNVenezuela.com, and create like hundreds of these, right? And replicate the same news site in all the mirrors, which have a slight variation of the name. And the idea is that, well, you know, I mean, they can also block 100 sites. If they can block one, they can block them all. But that would show a pattern of, you know, harassment and censorship. It would make more visible that it's a pattern, right? And governments that are oppressive, or they usually tend to hide that they are, so they don't do that, right? So anyhow, I created I applied the same technique. I created hundreds of these mirrors, and I have them ready to go. I just have to flip the switch and they will go live. They will become visible. They're live. They will just become visible. Anyhow, what happened with the YubiKey was on June 1st, I had the YubiKey with me here at my house, 26714 Valleyside Drive, and I had it hidden in my closet, right? I had it very well hidden because I didn't want somebody to break into the house and find it, etc. Right? And the YubiKey disappeared. It's not there. It's gone. Right? I believe it was stolen, alongside with the SD card reader that had an SD card inside. The SD card is not important because it was just old code, and the reason I was carrying it with me because it had a text file that is like a scratch paper that I use, where I put, you know, thoughts like random phrases, not random, but like short phrases to remind me of things that I have to do, like a to-do list. Like it's not very explicit of what is that I have to do. Like there's very short phrases, 2 or 3 words. So without context, I think it would be very hard for somebody to read. And the other pieces where I had to put more information, I had them encrypted in smaller strings. So it's very hard for anybody to decode that. I'm not worried about that. But the YubiKey did worry me, right? Because I thought they could delete the site, or they could gain access to my Google Cloud accounts, things like that. So of course I immediately disabled the YubiKey. But there's a couple of things that I want to mention about this incident, because I think it's probably, I think if law enforcement ever investigates this is one of those incidents that could become pivotal in what's happening, right? It could fundamentally change the trajectory, I think, of the conflict. The reason I say this is because one of the things that happened is that my technology, so in this house and in the other house that I have deployed certain devices to monitor the spectrum in ways that allows me to detect directional signals, right? So a directional signal is normally radio frequency devices like your cell phone or a radio receiver. They either receive or transmit signals, and the signals are radial, meaning they're emitted in a circular form, right? Like in a circular shape, in all directions at the same time. But on a directional transmission, the signal is very focused and narrow. So you have to be pointing at the receiving device for the transmission to be successful. And this has good properties, particularly for security, because like if you're doing a radial transmission with a cell phone, for example, anybody could be nearby and eavesdropping on what's going out of that cell phone, right? And if they have the technology to decrypt the data stream, they could see everything. And that's the weakness of the cellular technology, right? But imagine that you have a cellular technology, well, not necessarily, but if you have a technology that allows 2 devices to communicate to each other directionally, and you can visually see in between the 2 devices that there's nothing in the middle, well, it's a very secure communication channel, and that's why they use that. So anyhow, I've developed long time ago technology to detect and decrypt with a certain degree of success. It's not 100% success, but a very high degree of success. I can decrypt directional transmissions that they do. And in this particular day, the last time that I saw this YubiKey was on June 1st, 2025. It was in my closet, and right around that time, a series of signals were detected by my system, directional transmissions coming in and out of my house, come from and to the house next door, the 26718 Valleyside Drive, which would be the house that is controlled by Citgo. It's just next door to me. And that's where the agents Pridy, P-R-I-D-Y, they're extensively documented in the journal, supposedly live. But I understand now they don't really live there. It's just a safe house. Like they pretend to live there, right? Or they pretended to live there. And if there's a problem, if there's a conflict, right? Like if the network sees risk, they will pop up and appear again, right? Like as if they're living there, but they're not really living there. It's a safe house. They use it for whatever agent they need to put there to do whatever that they need to do next to me, right? So anyhow, these transmissions, and I'm not going to get into the details on how my technology works here, but and I will offer that information to the FBI only. But my technology detected and those series of transmissions and co-clustered them with this individual, Salvador Mendez, right? Salvador Mendez is an interesting character because I've heard about him multiple times. He used to be married to Gloria, my ex-partner, but I've never met him, right? What I was told was that he suffered from a mental condition and he had to move back to Venezuela in 2014. Even I paid for his ticket to move to Venezuela because supposedly he didn't have the means to cover that. So anyhow, I've never met Salvador in person. And this series of transmissions were co-clustered with Salvador by the pipeline, by the SpyHelp pipeline. And that's it's a tremendous coincidence, right? Like, how do I say this? I mean, he either is here in the US and he wasn't really in Venezuela all this time, or I don't know. So that's one interesting thing, and the pipeline has this data. So his A number, so that's the alien number, because so one of the things that I did early on was to digitize, to basically run optical character recognition on all the documents I had at my disposal at home in the two houses that I have. The idea was to convert images, right, like documents, paper documents, into text, into parsable text that I could then run through the pipeline, right? So all this metadata was extracted from those documents. Apparently, I don't know, I haven't looked at the actual document. I just saw this, in the pipeline. But it's some sort of immigration form. I don't know exactly which one. But that is a number tied to immigration. And I know this because I also went through the green card process myself. So I know, that number starts with A, means alien number. So anyhow, I'm saying all this because attached to that number there is biometric data, fingerprints, medical records, addresses. So if he's here, it would, I think, right, it would be rather trivial for law enforcement to find, if that's the case, right? That's why I say it could be a pivotal moment, because he supposedly left the country in 2014, and if he didn't really leave and he's been involved with this network, well, that puts a timeline, right, on everything, and also would be revealing of the amount of planning and resources that are involved in all this. So I think that it could be a crucial player, and a crucial piece of information, right? If proven true. Like, I'm not a law enforcement agency, so I have no way to verify that. I can only show the finding of the technology, but I think it would be, the job or the responsibility of an accredited investigative agency to figure out if that's really the case or if it's a misdetection, right? Anyhow, so that's one data point. The second data point is that during these 2 days and the previous day, so May 31st, 2025, there was a series of instances in which every time I came to this address, to this home, and I parked in the driveway, there was always a black SUV parked in the house next door where these directional messages were detected coming from and to. This black SUV, I don't have the make and model with me. I have to check the pipeline again, but it was a black SUV like Explorer or something like that, recent model. The license plate is V as in Victor, T as in Tango, Y as in Yo-Yo, 9612. And it was parked on the previous house, but what was interesting, the pipeline picked up that the car always started moving in the exact precise moment that I was about to open the garage or to lock the vehicle with the remote control. And this is an observation that is mine, but it was very precise. Like, look, I debugged it a little bit in the pipeline. Like, the precision, it seemed orchestrated. And it occurred to me that it could have been a way to try to copy or clone either the remote control of the garage, or to clone the remote control of the car, right? To be able to open it if I'm not, if I leave the car unattended, for example. Of course, this is just an hypothesis. I have no way to verify if that's the case, but the pipeline did pick up this as a statistical anomaly, right? The 3 days in a row that I parked the car right outside my house was this black SUV parked in the previous house next door, and it always started moving 1 second before I was about to press the remote, right? Like before, 1 second before the gate open or the sound. So the technology detects movement and sound, basically, right? So what it detected was that 1 second before the garage door of my house opened, or 1 second before the locking sound of the truck of the car sounded, this other vehicle started moving, right? Which is a known technique of radio frequency eavesdropping that I've learned that they do, right? So that's where I draw that inference. And also, in the exact moment that the directional transmissions were happening from and to my house to the previous house next door, on June 1st, around 6 p.m., right around the time the YubiKey was last seen, that black SUV was also parked in that house. So it is possible if whoever was doing those transmissions from that house must have been driving that truck, right, that SUV. And again, the license plates are V as in Victor, T as in Tango, Y as in Jojo 9612, a Texas plate. So that's that. There's another observation, and this one there are certain lines that I won't cross, but this I have to say. The observation is that after all this happened, right, and I figured out the YubiKey was missing, and I saw the transmissions in the pipeline co-clustered with Salvador's entity, my first reaction, and maybe I jumped at this, maybe I shouldn't have asked anything, I don't know, but my first reaction was to text Gloria and ask her if she had entered into my closet. I didn't ask why I was asking that. I didn't say anything. I didn't imply anything. I just asked the question, right? Did you enter? She said no, and then she didn't say anything else. It was just no, 2 letters, right? And then like half an hour later, she sent me a series of messages. And again, I'm not gonna post the messages, but the messages basically imply, that I'm crazy. She was saying things like, "Oh, because when we talked earlier, you sounded like you were in another place. Your thoughts were not very coherent. You seemed to be talking about something, and then you lost track of the idea." She said those things, right? I mean, and again, I'm not implying that she had anything to do with the YubiKey or that there was coordination on her part. Like, I'm not saying any of that. But if I'm an external observer and I'm looking at those messages and listening, because one of them was a voice note. If I hear those messages, what I would think is that person is crazy, right? Like that the person that they're describing is either crazy or on drugs or high or something, right? So it felt a little bit weird, because and she knows this, right? She knows I'm a very logical person. I always approach every problem that I face with logic. Like that's the only weapon I have. I don't have anything else. So I don't know. Like it seemed the timing of those messages, right, seemed a little bit off to me. And again, this is not the first time this happened, right? Like the other instance of a similar series of messages from her were when Marcelo was taken from the home, right? Like the first thing she did was to text me a message saying, because I asked her, right, like, when can I see Marcelo? And the first thing she said was, well, you can see him when you get better. And then I didn't really understand what she meant by getting better, but I asked the question anyways because my goal was to see my son. I asked her, well, what do you mean by getting better? What do I need to do to see my son? And then she said, well, you have to go to a psychiatrist and you have to take medication. Right, and then this was, a couple of days after we had talked about Daniel King Everett and about the Form 211 that I filed with the IRS. So, two instances in which there is legal risk for certain people, and then I'm immediately afterwards receiving messages that imply that I'm crazy. So I don't know. it's something that it's hard, right? It's hard to ignore. But I also realized I'm too close to this to make a call. Like I can't really make I can't apply my statistical methods on this because I'm too close. I have to realize that, right? Like I'm too close to the fact that my relationship to Gloria, Marcelo's existence, right? Salvador being Gloria's ex-husband. Like I'm too close to this to be effective or to be really. So I need to realize that, and I'm just stating information, right? Observations that things that I saw, right? I'm not drawing here any conclusions or parallels or anything. Just offering tips, which is the goal of this channel. Anyhow, the other thing related to this incident is that on the day before this happened, on the same day actually in the morning, I went to Walmart, the Walmart that is, I'm going to give you the store number. This is the Walmart Supercenter located at 26824 FM 1093 Road, Richmond, Texas 77406. And the store number is 04111. So I went to this Walmart store and I bought a few things, but one of the things that I bought was this case for an SD card, right? This is basically a plastic case, it's $5. The brand is On, where you can store SD cards. And I bought this because I knew I was carrying that SD card with me and the YubiKey, and I thought it could get lost because it's a tiny SD card, right? So I bought this. I didn't ask anybody in the store. I just went, grabbed it, and paid for it, right? And it was the receipt has like I think maybe 20 items in it. Like it's a small receipt. I'm saying this because the way this happened, right? I put that SD card and the YubiKey in that closet, and in less than 2 hours, it was gone. Well, I cannot say it was gone. That was the last time I saw it, right? It's possible it could have been taken the next day when I went to Micro Center, and that's why I think the other incident might be related. But the last time I saw it was there. So in a space of maybe 12 hours, the SD card and the YubiKey disappeared and they were together. And that made me think that the way they knew I was carrying access credentials with me was because I bought this thing at Walmart, right? Which could bring the question, how did they know? Do they have direct access to the purchase history at Walmart? I didn't enter my phone number in the cashier. I only used my credit card that I always use. So either it was either direct surveillance, they had somebody following me and seeing what I bought, or they're getting direct access to the purchase records. So maybe this could be traceable. So that's why I'm offering it as a tip. So this purchase happened. Okay, so it has an ID even. Okay, it says give us feedback. Your ID is 7, so the number 7, Victor, Papa, Delta, Charlie, Golf, 1, Frank, January, 1, Papa, Jojo. And I'm trying to find, yes. So this was actually, this was purchased the day before, right? So on May 31st, 2025 at 9:26 p.m. So 21:26 is the time. And this was on the terminal 55504-306. And it was purchased with a Visa card ending in 5528. And the total amount was $222.02. Mentioning all this because I think the way they knew that I had that YubiKey with me is because I bought this, right? And I think this is good. The only reason I'm offering this as a tip is because it shows how powerful, right? How much power they have by controlling the points of sale. Like they know what you buy, they know what your intentions are, right? They know what you're gonna do, they know what you may be carrying, and it's dangerous, as you can see, right? I lost the YubiKey and I could have lost the website. I didn't because I acted quickly. But to give you an idea, I had to go to the other house at 9 p.m. and reset all the passwords and delete that YubiKey from every account, and basically reset the security measures, two-factor authentication and everything of like, I don't know, 45, 50 accounts. I spent the whole night doing that, just because I purchased this $5 case, right? It's a very dangerous source of data that they have. And with that in mind, let's go to the second incident that I think is related, the Micro Center visit. So this visit, so I went to Micro Center, and this was on 0602. And I paid for the items at 11:32 a.m., but I really got there, I would say, I think this time is not right. This could be Eastern time maybe. I think it was like 10:32 a.m. Central time. And I arrived there, I think, at 9:06, from what I saw in the pipeline. So I checked I debugged a few things in that visit. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because it was an interesting visit. Okay, so I'll show you here what I did. So Micro Center. Right, so this is a location that I went to, and I left from this house. Okay, and this is exactly the route I took. So I took the West Park Tollway. For people that are not from this area and may not be familiar with this, oh, sorry. So this tollway, it's a paid route. You have to pay a toll, well, as the name says, right? And because of that, it has cameras, and it has this easy tag tracking system. It's a magnetic tag, and they also have license plate readers. So every car that goes through that thing is photographed and tracked. And I'm saying this because in the trajectory, tons of agents followed me in both ways, right? As they always do. In fact, there is an instance in which I ran an experiment last year, in which I basically went to the same store. And this store is important because it's a store that carries a wide range of electronics, not even necessarily computers, other things that could be, or that I use for other things. And they have a need to track what I buy, right? And they have to see exactly what I do. So I know that they follow me there. And last year I ran an experiment where they sent more than 300 cars following me in both directions. And I recorded them all. I had technology to detect I didn't have the geo index at that point, but I had the technology to detect and to flag the cars. So this is documented before in the journal. So I knew that they were going to follow me here on this occasion, right? In this occasion, there's a few things I want to mention that are interesting, right? One is that according to the pipeline, I was debugging this, and it seems like they're running experiments with the call mobile. What I mean is, there are, a few days ago I posted something to the effects that I connected the call mobile, the spy health pipeline that I have to the call mobile. So the call mobile at this point is an armored vehicle. It's an SUV. It's armored. It has a public announcement system, a siren, strobe lights, everything. Right? It looks like a Secret Service SUV of the 2012. It's an older model, but it's armored and everything. And I bought the vehicle because I saw risk to my life after several attempts on my life. So anyhow, I connected the Spy Hell mobile version, my analysis software that does real-time analysis on the cameras that I install on the vehicle and the spectrometers and everything, and it flags almost real-time within 3 seconds, 5 seconds maybe, vehicles that are spy vehicles from this network. I posted a few days ago that I connected this detection system to the public announcement system of the car, and it emits signals like sounds or lights, the sirens and the strobe lights, when it encounters a vehicle that is flagged. Okay, and my goal by doing that was to alert law enforcement that, hey, this guy, this is a spy, like what he's doing is illegal, right? So what they did, and this is a hypothesis. I cannot, say that I'm 100% sure, but it looks that way by looking at the debug signals in the pipeline. It looks like they're running experiments at this point. So it's pretty. I mean, I see it and I understand what they're doing, right? Because we did that at Google. I haven't mentioned this, but I used to be a software engineer at Google. I worked in Google search ranking for many years, between 2000 and late 2009, I think, and 2018, also 9 years. So they're running experiments. Okay, what that looks like is this. So, for example, in this West Park Tollway, when I was on my way back, if I remember correctly, the debug output that I saw, when I was more or less on this area, right, where there is a part of here that where there is like a parking lot for buses, for city buses, more or less on that area. I have to check the exact precise location, but more or less on that area. What they did was this: they put a sedan on the back of my car, right? Basically recording with the camera what was happening in front of it. So my car and the other cars that I was passing or that were passing me, right? I was driving on the left lane, and then this is what they did. They passed two vehicles that were exactly the same, but they had two features different. And I'm going to say which features because that would give away some of the technology, right? But the two vehicles were exactly the same vehicles, but they had two things that were different. And my hypothesis is what they wanted to see was if the strobe lights came up, right? If the strobe lights came up with the two vehicles, then they could learn nothing. But if the strobe lights came up with one of the vehicles but not the other, then it means that those two different features, one of those two, were one of the features that my system is looking at, right? This in the business we call this an ablation experiment. What it means is that you in your control group you test a series of conditions, and then in your experiment you remove one of those conditions to see what is the effect of the removal, right? To measure that effect. So I think that's what they're doing now. This and I saw different instances where they would do the same thing, like pass two Corollas, right? Same color, but two small things are different in the car. They're trying to figure out how it works, basically. Now, this particular example I'm telling viewers, and I apologize if I don't get the YouTube jargon right. First time in my life doing this. But the reason why I flagged this particular instance near that parking lot for the city buses is because these two particular cars were two official cars. I can't recall the output. I have to look it again up, but it was something like Department of Agriculture. It was two white trucks, both from the Department of Agriculture of Texas, something with agriculture. I remember the OCR because my system reads images and puts the text into OCR as well. The same thing I did with the documents where I got, where the system got the Salvador's A number. The same idea, but with the images from the cameras in the car. So I think it's relevant because, well, if they have not one, but two agents driving two official vehicles from the Department of Agriculture, well, somebody needs to look at the Department of Agriculture, right? And because that ties directly into food safety, it seems like a pretty important thing, right? So that's mostly what I'm mentioning. I mean, the fact they're running experiments doesn't surprise me, right? They're trying to play the game. I don't blame them. They're trying to catch up. Which is kind of sad if you think of the amount of resources and advantage they have, that they have to try to catch up to me, who have no resources and no people, right? Anyhow, they're trying to catch up by running experiments, and these two trucks, Department of Agriculture, one right behind the other, the two were exactly the same except for two vehicle features detected by the pipeline. And of course, all this information I will give in detail to the FBI. But yes, they're running these experiments all the time, right? Like they put a car behind, and then they pass two cars, and then they see if so because of this, I figured, I'm not gonna give them any data, so I stop issuing the alerts, which maybe is the end goal, right? Like to kind of coerce me in a way, or to steer me in this direction of not turning on the siren and the signals, so law enforcement cannot detect them, right? I mean, could be, right? Could be that they're just playing with my mind. But on this one, I'm gonna play it safe. I'm not gonna give them any information that I don't need to give them. The other thing, there's other two experiments that there's another experiment they run, one more. So inside the store, they placed an agent that was visually co-clustered. I was carrying, when I go into a store, I carry a camera attached to my body. And I do this just to collect more data. I'm a data collector. That's my job at this point, right? I attach one of the GoPro cameras that I use in the car to my body, to my chest, and wherever I look, it records, right? And then I download these videos into the system, and the pipeline processes them. And if it finds features matching somebody's seen before, it would co-cluster them visually, right? Or with other things. There's different methods of co-clustering that I use. Anyhow, they placed this agent inside of the store right as I came in. I think on the 8th minute, 8 minutes. So 8 minutes and 55 seconds after I came into the store, I encountered this agent face to face. This agent was visually co-clustered by the system with the unknown male gate installer 1 and Daniel King Everett, and the person driving the Scotland truck. The co-clustering is, the signals are strong, slightly above confidence threshold. So yeah, it could be, or it could be somebody that was made to look pretty close to what he looks like. And again, this was done by computer vision. It's not me. It's not a personal observation. It's a computer observation. So I'll give more details about this encounter in case law enforcement, if they ever investigate this, maybe they could get the recordings. I don't know if that would be possible, but maybe they could see the person that I'm describing. So this man was described. I would describe him in the same way that is described in the website. So 5'10", maybe 5'11", 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", on that range. Maybe 170 pounds, white, Caucasian, brown hair. He has a mustache, brown, and he was wearing one of those kind of long shorts. I don't know if that's what they're called in English. I'm sorry, like Bermudas, like like longer. They're pants that are like not really shorts, but they're not really full length pants, right? He was wearing a short sleeve, so the pants were like, if I recall the picture, like gray or beige. He was wearing a short sleeve T-shirt, I think green or dark green or gray, one of those like sand colors, and he has tattoos in one arm, and he was wearing a baseball cap, I think. As most of the spies do, like they always wear a hat, right? Because they're trying to avoid facial detection. So he was there, and if we look at the microstore, so now what I think, I don't think this was random, right? I think what they wanted to do was to experiment to see if the system would pick him up, because he's a legal risk, right? Like he's a very huge legal risk for them, because he has ties to many individuals that are close to me, both in Valleyside Drive, Katy, Texas, and in Lake Point Estates, Katy, Texas, right? And the length of the targeting, right, spanning a decade or more. It's just I think it's a huge legal risk. So I think what they were trying to do was to experiment with the system, with my system, to see if he would be picked up by the system if he is encountered face to face with the camera, right? That was the second experiment. So this is the micro center, right? I parked my car right here. Let me see. Yes. No, not right here. Right here. Right here. Right. 29 more or less. It would be like 29.724816 and minus 95.46 7261. So as I walked from the car to the store, and then I took this route more or less. I pick up the car here, the cart, and then I walk 2 or 3 aisles this way, and then I encounter him in the middle of so that store, the layout basically has like aisles on the 2 sides, basically divided by a middle lane that divides the whole store from west to east in this map, right? So from here to here, and I encounter him more or less on this point, which would be more or less 29.72.491 minus 95.46666, and this was right after I picked up from the middle aisle a docking station of brand J5, I think it's the brand. I have the box somewhere. So I picked up the docking station, and right after I picked up the docking station was the encounter with this agent that looks a lot. It was co-clustered visually by the pipeline with the unknown male gate installer one, and all the other identities that he probably has, allegedly. So that's the second experiment. And the third thing I want to mention about Micro Center is the presence of a white Mercedes SUV that was parked. It was parked there before I got there, right? It was parked more or less here, more or less, so like in the corner here. 29.72.475 and minus 95.46707. I have the recordings, the photos, high resolution, but I'm not going to put them here. But I have all that. This vehicle it was parked, Moscow style with the face recognition camera, that works like it was a very sophisticated setup. The license plate is a temporary license plate made of paper, like those of buyer tags. I took a picture, I took a video with the two or three cameras in the vehicle, and then I took a zoom in picture when I walked to the store. And it's visible the VIN number in that temporary license plate and the company that supposedly sold that vehicle, right? And so it should be recorded that vehicle should be recorded in the cameras anyways of the store. So if law enforcement ever reads or sees this video and they check out the agent that they were using to experiment with the facial recognition, if they get access to that footage, they may also have access to the footage of the parking lot and see who was the person that parked that SUV there. Now, the last data point I want to offer is that when I left my house, they didn't know where I was going, right? So they had to follow me very aggressively, insistently, to try to figure it out, right? But as I traveled, they couldn't really know where I was going until I got pretty close, right? Because they know my habits. They've been watching me for a long time, so they know, right? So what happened was, as I was traveling on West Old Parkway here, as I was approaching the exit for the 69, which is this exit, right? So something happened there. I mean, it could be a coincidence, I understand that, but it was a very convenient coincidence, right? So what happened was, in this area over here, there was a traffic accident that basically created a huge line of cars. I believe, my hypothesis, and this is a hypothesis, I have no proofs of this, okay? But because it was so convenient for them, what I believe happened was they created this accident just as a way to delay me a little bit, so they could, because at this point, if I'm traveling on this direction and I reach this point, they know me, right? They know that I'm going to go to Micro Center. It's 2 miles away. So they figure out, oh, he's going to Micro Center. Let's pack this store with agents. And they needed to transport the agents from nearby areas because all this area is under their control. Like don't take my word for it. Let's go to spyhell.org. Let's go to the paramilitary Micro Center. See? So they have surveillance posts, and well, this map is very zoomed in. But if and I didn't put a way to zoom it out, but if I zoom it out, maybe if I do this, I mean this is a different function, but it will give you an idea, right? Yeah. So they have tons of agents in this area, and these agents are very high. I mean these are millionaires, right? Like look at the scores. 4 million, 1 million, 5 million. These are multi-millionaires in crypto, of course, right? Not paying taxes. as soon as they saw that I was reaching that point, my theory is that they created that fake accident to create that fake line of cars to delay me, to block me, so they could gain 5 or 7 minutes to position the agents, the car in the parking lot, and all that, right? So I didn't see the white SUV, the Mercedes SUV arriving. It was there when I got there, but it's possible it arrived a few minutes before me. Now it was parked in one of the most desirable spots, right? Like it was like right in front, like it was right here, right? More or less at 29.72491 minus 95.46716. This is the most desirable spot because it's the closest to the store, right? So I don't know who parked it there, but maybe it's visible in the cameras. Now another thing, going back to the fake suspected, alleged fake accident, is that so they, I saw they were blocking me. So what I did, I kind of, there was a small opening on the right, so I went through that. I turned on the strobe lights and I went through that. And as I was doing that, immediately, right, a Fort Bend County, I think, or Harris County. I have to check the video. I should have checked that, but I didn't. But a police car, right, came right behind me to attend to the traffic accident. Mentioning this because, well, if the people involved in the accident, if their houses are marked in the index, and the police officer that attended to the accident, that responded, is also his house, if it's marked in the index, well, I mean, that would be like a smoking gun, right? But of course, I don't have access to that information right now. I could debug it, right? Like I could look into the pipeline and see if I don't know. I think the license plate, if I recall correctly, the one of the license plates wasn't visible. I have to check. Maybe I got lucky and they got captured, and but I'll have to check. I didn't check that. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that one of the people involved in the accident appeared to be Venezuelan, because I've heard he was talking and laughing. He was walking towards the other car, and he was like talking and laughing, and I heard what he said, and he was Venezuelan. He could be Venezuelan. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but it's possible he's Venezuelan. And the other thing that kind of was odd was that he was laughing. I mean, he was driving a car that was kind of beat up, but the other car in the accident was an expensive SUV. I think it was like a Land Rover or something similar to that. I have to check again. I was more, when I debugged this, I was more concentrated on obviously on the Mercedes SUV and the agent inside the store than in this accident. I'm just remembering this now, and I'll check it. But what seemed odd, and this is a personal observation, right, is that he was driving a beat up car and he hit a $90,000, $100,000 SUV, and he was laughing. I mean, people respond to differently to stress, right? Like I can't draw a conclusion from that. But if it was me, right, if I had hit a $100,000 SUV with my car, I wouldn't be laughing. So that also seemed a little bit odd. So I don't know. In that incident, there's a lot of things that seem odd, right? Like the police officer arriving right behind me, the Venezuelan driver involved in the accident laughing after hitting a $100,000 car. This happening 2 miles away from where I was going, when they didn't know where I was going. Because when they know where I'm going, it's easy, right? Like if they know I'm going to see Marcelo, right? They know where I'm going, so they can just put the agents there and they don't have to rush. But if they don't know where I'm going, they have to create these obstacles as I go, right, to try to delay me so they can gain time to position the people ahead. Because tracking ahead, that's the technology, right? It's tracking ahead. It has several advantages for them. Okay, so I think those are the data points that I wanted to offer about the Micro Center incident. And I promise I'll debug the accident to see if the plates were visible to the system and if the addresses got resolved and if they are marked in the index, right? like the two vehicles involved and the police officer. The police officer is tricky, right? Because only if I get lucky and the badge gets recorded or something. But the police car is not tied to the identity of the officer, right? It's tied to the police station. So I don't have visibility into that data. Like it would have to be another law enforcement agencies to check that. I don't have access to that data. Sometimes I do get lucky and the badge is visible, and that is enough for me to get them. Okay, so I'll stop this one here, and I'm hoping this helps. Thank you for your time.